I started my side dish of cheesy potatoes by washing my hands and getting the materials I needed. Then I grated an onion on a box grater. Afterwards, I melted a stick of butter in the microwave. To the melted butter, I added 1 can of cream and chicken soup, 8 ounces of French onion dip, and then stirred to combine them all. Then I added a 1/4 cup of the grated onion, 8 ounces of cheddar cheese, and a 30-ounce bag of frozen hash browns that had been thawed in the fridge overnight. After, I stirred to combine everything again. Once it was all combined, I brushed 1 tablespoon of oil in a 9x13 pan and dumped the potatoes in. I then began to top it with additional cheese afterwards. After it was spread evenly, I baked it in a 350-degree oven for 1 hour. Once the time was up, I switched the broiler on for 3 minutes. I began to clean the mess on the counter with disinfectant wipes while I waited. Then I removed the pan from the oven and let it rest for 10 minutes before serving. Finally, I had made some warm and crispy cheesy potatoes. For my main dish, I made tacos. I started by cutting my vegetables. Then I began shredding cheese on a box grater. Then I browned 2 pounds of ground meat over medium-high heat. I continued to break up the meat as it cooked. Then I weighed 1 ounce of taco seasoning per pound of meat. After, I used the paper towel to absorb the excess grease while being careful not to burn myself. Then I added the taco seasoning and stirred to combine. I cooked it for about 30 seconds before adding a cup of water, then I simmered for 5 minutes. Afterwards, I was able to assemble my taco with all my favorite toppings. Making tacos ended up being perfect because the next day I was able to use my leftovers for taco salad. I started with bags of salad, then I added black beans and sweet corn. Canned beans need to be rinsed, so I put them in a colander and rinsed them over the sink with the corn. Once rinsed, I added them to the salad bowl. I added leftover taco meat from the night before, leftover cheese, and leftover tomatoes. Then I stirred it all to combine. I served it on a bed of tortilla chips and topped it with salsa. For my dessert, I made pumpkin pie. I started with 2 cups of pureed pumpkin from our garden. I added 1 tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice and a half teaspoon of salt. Then I stirred to combine the pumpkin and the spices. After, I added a 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk and 2 eggs that I cracked in a separate bowl to make sure there were no shells. Then I whisked everything together. I poured the filling into a pre-made 10-inch graham cracker crust. I baked it at 325 degrees for 1 hour and 15 minutes. After the pie was ready to take out, it must cool completely before slicing. I like mine with added whipped cream. Finally, I have a nice pumpkin pie. For my appetizer of queso cheese dip, I started by chopping 8 ounces of Velveeta cheese into cubes. I added them to a microwave-safe bowl with 8 ounces of pepper jack cheese, a 14-ounce can of evaporated milk, and a 4-ounce can of green chilies that I drained before adding. I stirred everything before adding it to the microwave for 1 minute and 30 seconds. I ended up stirring it again and microwaving it for another 1 minute 30 seconds, and then I stirred and I microwaved it for 30 more seconds. After a final stir to make sure all the chunks were out of the dip, I served it with tortilla chips. And this concludes my 5 dishes made at home.